7 o'clock, but I think we can do better. I said, how we do it? Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome to my show, I Will Always Love You. I am so excited to be performing for y'all tonight. I got on board with y'all yesterday. Some of you might see me carrying on my 70-pound bag up the port. And I just want you to know I came from Alaska. Yes, so it took me 4 flights, 2 hotels, just to get here with an hour to spare on board. So I barely made it on time, so woo! Yeah! I'm so excited to be here. And for those of you who might be wondering about my first name, because it's something I get questioned about all the time, people are like, Ashlie Amber, is that your first name, your last name, your middle name? Like, girl, why you got so many names? Well, the truth is, my parents couldn't decide between Ashlie or Amber, so they gave me both. And the reason why Ashlie comes first is because all 4 kids in my family, all of our names end with an IE. So there's Ricky, Jackie, Jeremy, and me. Now, before we continue, there is just one thing I want to get straight. I am not a Whitney Houston impressionist. And this show is not about me being Whitney. I have put this show together to remember and to celebrate the amazing talent and incredible voice that is Whitney Houston. Give it up, come on. So tonight, I'm gonna be taking you through her story, as well as my own personal story, with hits that you will definitely know, and maybe a couple you might not. But if it's a song you know, I want you to feel free to live your lives and sing along as loud as you want. Can you do that for me? Yeah. Oh, 7 o'clock, I said, can you do that for me? Yeah. Woo! If you love something, I want you to clap, cheer, stand up. If you like something, just clap. And if you don't like something, well, clap your hands anyway. Because we are working hard up here, okay? Give it up for the boys in the band. Come on. So, for those of you who don't know, Whitney is the daughter of gospel soul singer Sissy Houston. She is the cousin to songstress Dionne Warwick, and she is the goddaughter to Miss What You Want, Aretha Franklin. So it was pretty obvious that Whitney was destined to be a singer, and in 1984, she was discovered by the amazing Clive Davis, and just 2 years later, in 1986, Whitney landed her first #1 single and her first Grammy Award for Best Pop Female Vocal Performance with this song. It's all that we share. You've got your family and they need you there. Though I try to resist being last on the list, but no other man can ever do. Some say Thank you. Now, after Whitney's first #1 single, she was absolutely on fire. She then released 11 #1 singles over the next decade. Now, this next song isn't technically one of her #1 singles, but it did land her an iconic moment in history during the 1988 Summer Olympics. Each day I live, I want to be a day to give the best of me. I'm only one, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown. I broke my heart for every game to taste the sweet. I face the pain. I rise and fall, yet through it all, this much remains. Give me one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny, and in that one moment of time, I will feel, yes, I will feel eternity. You're a winner for a lifetime if you seize that one moment in time. Make it shine. Give me one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me. Oh, give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. And in that one moment of time, I will be, yes, I will be free. I will be You guys having a good time so far? Awesome. Well, I do have a question for you. Can you take this again? Yeah, is that okay? Because these shoes, they may look pretty, but they don't feel pretty. Ladies, y'all feel me, am I right? Yes. But I do have to show these bad boys off. Check these guys out. Fun little DIY project right there. So, a little bit about me. I am from Denver, Colorado. Woo! There's a couple of us. And I started singing when I was 6 years old. I'll never forget the moment. I was riding in the car with my mom and dad, just living my best life in the back seat as 6-year-olds do, singing along to the radio. And at the time, my favorite song was on. So if there's any 90s R&B fans out there, you might remember this one. It went a little something like, hey, Mr. DJ, we can get this started. Everybody's ready to party all night, all night. So anyways, yes, woo! Thank you. So that song was on, and I was just living stuff in the back seat, and all of a sudden my dad decides to turn off the radio. And of course I'm in my own world, so I didn't pay any mind, and I just kept along singing. And about 30 seconds later or so, he turns the radio back on, and I'm in the same exact place as the song, and still in the same key. Yes. So he turns and he looks at me and he says, "Did you know you could sing?" And I said, And from there on out, you could not shut me up. I was singing anywhere and everywhere that I could. But my family was super, super active in sports. My dad actually used to coach us growing up. So growing up, I played volleyball, basketball, soccer, softball, you name it, I played it. So if I was singing, it's just something I kind of did for fun if I had a little extra time until things changed. As things in life always seem to do, they always seem to change. And when I was 11, my dad got really, really sick. And about 11 months later, when I was 12, he actually passed away. Now, becoming a teenager and being in middle school is hard enough as it is without having the added stress of the sudden loss of a parent. So I just needed a different outlet other than sports, because sports at the time, they just reminded me too much of my dad, and I was just so angry because I just didn't understand why he had to leave us. And so that's when I turned to music, and that's when I discovered and started belting to Miss Whitney. And for those of you out there who don't know what belting is, I don't mean I'm like out there hitting somebody with a belt. I mean, I'm literally in my room, thank you. I mean, I'm literally in my room just singing my face off as loud as I possibly can, just driving my family crazy. And Whitney and music got me through a really, really hard time in life. And so, again, I just started singing anywhere and everywhere, and finally my favorite teacher in the 8th grade, Mr. Trujillo, he came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, Ashlie Amber, do you want to sing at the 8th grade continuation?" And I was like, duh, of course. And he was like, "Cool, pick a song, we'll approve it, and we'll go from there." So naturally, being the diva that I am, I of course decided to pick one of Whitney's 3rd biggest singles of all time. And one of the things I love about this next song that I'm about to share with all of you is that the words and the meaning behind this song still hold a lot of truth today, which is not something you find in today's pop music all the time. This next song is all about loving yourself and accepting yourself for who you are. And I don't know about all y'all, but let's be honest. Learning to love yourself for who you are is one of the hardest things to do. We live in a world that has this idea of perfection, and there's so much pressure on TV and Instagram and Photoshop and magazines to look a certain way that it can be really hard to look yourself in the mirror and like what you see. I grew up in a town where I was one of only 5 Black students of a graduating class of over 500. So I never really felt like I fit in. I used to get made fun of all the time because of my hair, because of my curves. Believe it or not, y'all, I was built like this back in middle school. But it wasn't until my mid-20s that I actually started accepting myself for who I was. And I'll never look back, because who I am is awesome. And who every single one of you are as an individual is awesome, and that is what makes this world so special. Come on. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be, and so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter always has the best seat in the house. And there is not a day that goes by that I'm not reminded of all the father-daughter memories that we miss. But I am so thankful for the ones we did have. Like me, at 6 years old, singing along to the radio. Because of the greatest love, it's happening to me. No, I found the greatest love inside of me. The greatest love of Thank you very much, thank you. So, what do you say we pick things back up a bit, huh? Yeah. This next song landed Whitney her second biggest single of her entire career back in 1987, becoming one of the most iconic songs of the 80s. Now, I know that everybody in here knows this song, but just in case it's been a while, I'm gonna go ahead and refresh your memory, and we're gonna switch things up a little bit, and it's time for y'all to sing a little bit of Whitney. Are you ready? Yeah. 7 o'clock, I said, are you ready? Yeah. Woo, there we go. All right, so, repeat after me. I wanna dance with somebody. It's good, but I think we can do it better. What do you guys think? You guys think we can do it better? Yeah. I said, do you guys think we can do it better? Yeah. All right, so as loud as you possibly can. I want everybody here on the bottom, everybody on the sides, everybody in the balcony, anybody in the back, standing up. I want the ship next to us to be able to hear us, okay? So, as loud as you can, repeat after me. I want to dance with somebody. Crushing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish out the chorus together. So everybody as loud as you can, just go ahead and follow me. I want to dance with somebody, or with somebody who loves me. Woo! All right. Now that I know that every single person in this room knows the chorus to this song, when we get there, I want you to sing it. takes me down and wraps me slow. And in the evening when the moon is high, he holds me close. He won't let go. He won't let go. He fills me up. He gives me love. Set my love and nothing seen. He's all I got. He's all I get. This world again. Celebrity! Take it away! March 1984, a sweet little girl from Newark, New Jersey, was transformed into a pop R&B diva. With the best debut album of all time, titled Whitney Houston, practically overnight, one name became the universal language: Whitney. From that album came 3 #1 singles and several awards. Her second album, titled Whitney, made even more history, debuting at #1 on the Billboard charts, a first for a female artist. The album contained 4 more #1 singles, giving Whitney a phenomenal 7 consecutive hits. It had never been done before or since. With a total of 11 #1 singles, over 120 million albums sold worldwide, 411 awards, and the longest-running #1 single still to date at 14 weeks straight, with her version of I Will Always Love You. There is no question that Whitney Houston is one of the greatest African-American female artists of all time. She stole our hearts at the 1991 Super Bowl with her stirring, iconic rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. But Whitney didn't stop there. She dazzled us with her natural acting ability in The Bodyguard, Waiting to Exhale, Cinderella, and The Preacher's Wife. Singer, actress, entertainer, model, music producer, television producer, film producer, philanthropist, mother, daughter, this woman had many talents and was a force not to be reckoned with. Her captivating soulful voice inspired countless numbers of young women to pursue their dreams of music. On February 11th, 2012, Whitney passed away. She was found in her guest room at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills, California. That day, the world lost an incredible talent that was truly one of a kind. Tonight, we celebrate her life, her voice, and her music that has shaped a generation and will continue to shape the generations to come. Thank you, Whitney.
you. Ooh, you guys are a great audience. Well, that brings me to the end of my show. Let's try that again. I said that brings me to the end of my show. Now you're just sucking up to me. But before I go, there are some amazing people I'd like to thank. You've already heard about them this entire cruise, but it is absolutely true. Without them, I would not be able to put on this show. The amazing production cast who you just saw last night and throughout the entire cruise would not be able to do all of their amazing shows, and all of the other phenomenal guest entertainers that you've seen and still have yet to see would not be able to do their shows. So, as loud as you possibly can, go crazy, stand up, start throwing things, whatever you want to do. Give it up for this incredible entertainment team. Give it up for Josh on sound. Come on. Give it up for Robert on lights. Give it up for your spotlight operators. Give it up for Armin, your stage production manager, calling all the shows. Give it up for Alex, your stage crew. You can't see him, but he's feeding us everything that we need. Woo! Give it up for Mark, your crew director. Woo! absolutely incredible. They play every single style. And I don't think you realize how it works. We come on board. We don't get a lot of time to rehearse with them. We rehearse the day of. And I give them sheet music that I have no clue what's on the page because I don't read music. And I give them the sheet music and they play it, and in an hour, hour and a half, you get lights, you get sound, and you get this amazing, incredible band. So give it up for live musicians one more time because they are not on my ship. And what they do is incredibly difficult. Thank you guys so much. With that said, for those of you who are wondering what I might be up to after this, you can find me at ashlieamber.com. Just remember that Ashlie is ASHLIE, amber.com. You can find me there. I just launched a brand new website, so please check it out. You can find all of my social media. I have an album coming out. I also have a book coming out. A lot of people ask me, they're like, hey, how come you went on American Idol? And I'm like, hey, I got cut. And so I have a whole book that comes out and that talks about that whole experience behind the scenes, which I had an amazing experience on that show. So you can find that at ashlieamber.com. Also, if you want to send me a message after the show, I respond to everything, so you can send it to me right on my homepage. Just give me a couple days until I find good Wi-Fi. We all know how that goes, right? Also, at the end of the show, I will be right here on your left-hand side, my right-hand side. Don't worry, you don't have to be afraid of me because I'm not selling anything. Alright? So come over, say hi. I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to wish you farewell. Safe travels back home since you guys leave in a couple days. I will be here tomorrow because we are at sea and I cannot swim. And I don't want to get my hair wet. So, if you see me around the ship tomorrow, just look for my hair, say hi. I would absolutely love to chat with you. And with that said, for those of you who weren't Whitney Houston fans before coming here tonight, I hope that you now are, because she's amazing. And for those of you who loved her and her music, I hope that you fell in love with her and her music all over again. Give it up! Like I said, I started singing when I was a little girl, but when I turned 20, I actually stopped singing for a little bit. And just so you guys know, that wasn't just like 2 years ago, okay? It was 3. Just kidding, it was much longer than that. But I stopped singing because I didn't know what direction of music I wanted to go into. And I didn't have the luxury of going to college. I had to go out, I had to get a real job, and I had to start paying for things. And because of that, I was always super intimidated because everything you hear is self-taught. I just go based off of what sounds good and doesn't hurt. And because of that, it made me super intimidated by all these amazing performers who have these fancy degrees from these fancy colleges, and here I had nothing. So it wasn't until my best friend, who at the time was a complete stranger, after hearing me sing, she said, girl, what are you doing waiting tables at TGI Fridays? And I said, I don't know. And she pointed me in the right direction, and I have never looked back. And she is now my closest friend today. So give some love to Midtown, Texas. Come on. So honestly, the fact that I'm standing here in front of all of you, paying tribute to my biggest icon, headlining my own show, getting the opportunity to travel the world is absolutely a dream come true, and I was legit waiting tables just a few years ago. So thank you guys so much for taking your time and coming to see me tonight. It means more than you can possibly imagine. Thank you guys so much. And with that said, I would like to give a huge thanks to Whitney for inspiring me and helping me become the woman and performer I am today. And I'd also like to give a huge thanks to my dad for turning off that radio. And tonight, I leave you all with this. If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you.
So goodbye, please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need, and I will always love you. I will always love
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Ashlie Amber! Oh yes, what a show, ladies and gentlemen! What a talent right here! Ashlie Amber, wow! Come on, I think she deserves another bow, ladies and gentlemen. Ashlie, get back out here, give it up, ladies and gentlemen, Ashlie Amber! What a talent right there! Wow! Did you enjoy the show?